how can we compete against 30, 40-year dictators like a Putin or a Xi when we're changing policy every 3 years? Not 4 years, 3 years, and then we're campaigning 3 years and campaigning, 3 years and campaigning. So these people could take a 100-year plan against us,
right?
You know, and we have to try to be constantly doing things in 3 years.
Everyone's a victim!
I'm Gerard. You know that because you're on my channel. Welcome back to Gerard versus Evil. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about there's 2 Russian warships 60 miles off our shore here in Florida. Barack Obama had to grab the President of the United States by the hand and usher him off the stage. There appears to be a race war in the WNBA. Everybody's talking about it. I wouldn't know because I don't watch that shit. And apparently, there's $30,000 is what it costs to get a haircut and get your makeup done in Chicago. But first, we're going to talk about why there's kitty litter in high schools. Not just with me. We have 2 very, very special guests with us today. To my right, you know him from Slick and Thick. He's been on 2 episodes before. Put your hands together at home, maybe in your office, so people think you're doing something cool. Alex Witt, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, go ahead and clap. It's fine. Wow.
Yeah, I thought you were going to clap it up. Ladies, Jesus.
His whole entourage is here like, I'm not clapping for that. Yeah, and then to my left, first time, long time. He's been following the show for over 35 minutes. Put your hands together for Ian, who I don't know his last name. What's his last name?
Ian Sparks.
Ian Sparks.
Nice
What's up, Ian?
Thank you. No,
Ian got a significantly better applause than Alex. I noticed that.
This is bullshit.
It was the warm-up. It was a warm-up.
For the record, he is in camouflage, so you really can't see him.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. True. Now, Chris, if he's going to stand that far back and speak that low, you're going to have to pump his mic way up. No, it's fine. We have a slave for that.
Okay.
Speaking of him, Christian, our production slave today, everybody's favorite, sexy short king, Christian Perella, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, you gave yourself the music, huh?
Oh, dude.
Well done.
He had it ready.
Jossie did a great job filling in, but we got, 5 comments like, where's Christian? Where's Christian been? What's Christian up to? That's really? A lot. That's a lot, you know?
Christian.
He's a popular producer, man. Well earned and well deserved. Chris, have you ever desired to poop in a litter box? In public, no less.
No.
No, not once?
No.
Really? Huh. Alex, you were telling me that this is something that's been on your mind, is that there are human kittens pooping in public schools.
So I didn't realize that this was like an actual thing. And this past Christmas, I was walking around Woodfield Mall. Shout out anyone in the Chicagoland market who gets $30,000 worth of haircuts in Chicago.
So funny, by the way. He was saying the A is perfectly fine until he started talking about Chicago, and all of a sudden,
I didn't realize I did
his
it.
throat don't work no more.
I didn't realize I did it. My throat works. All right. Hey.
Hey. Before you put nasty comments, I'll have you know this man served the country. Whether it was on his knees or not, it served this great country.
My knees.
Yeah. So you were saying kittens?
Okay, so look, I'm walking around Woodfield Mall, and as I'm walking by, don't go to Woodfield Mall, by the way, during the holiday season. I do not recommend it. But I'm walking by, and there's like 6 or 7 girls, probably high schoolers, late high schoolers, and all of them are like, they have whiskers, and they have tails. This is a real thing. And I stopped in my tracks, and I'm walking around, and I stopped in my tracks. Christian, you ever seen this, man? You've seen this. So I stopped in my tracks, and I went, and I looked at him, and all these people behind these girls looked at me like, they all started laughing at me like they couldn't believe that I didn't know what that was. And I looked at him like, wait, why, what?
For our audio-only listeners, the look he gave was exacerbation. He was very exacerbated that these young teenagers were wearing whiskers and tails. You know, Ian, you were telling me before the show that you love high school girls because you get older and they stay the same age. So what was your thinking about that?
So let me caveat that by saying no.
I'd like to point
By
out,
the way, you guys are the owners of Battle Bars, folks. Battle Bars. Buy Battle Bars, or your kids will grow whiskers.
and by the way, caveat, I want to let you know that Ian says that word on every meeting we've ever been on for the past 5 years.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you not know French, Alex?
He's like, only caveat.
Yeah.
I haven't found a better substitute for what that means yet.
Caveat?
Yeah.
I don't
caveat.
know why you have to work it
another word.
into.
Give me another word. Give me
for
another word.
caveat. It depends. It depends on the situation.
Alternatively. Wait.
Yeah, well, but I'm just saying, what is the scenario with which caveat has to be brought up in meetings all the time?
I don't know.
Caveat, the one that I like is sidebar.
Sidebar.
You know, sidebar, or
It's a legacy of the. It's a
Quick
legacy of
note.
the military. You just can't get it out of your system sometimes.
See, the only way to be right is less is more. Caveat, 3 syllables. Sidebar, 2 syllables. Efficiency, daddy. Let's get working here.
This is why I love this guy. This is why I love him.
Plus, I mean, French. What the
Number
fuck?
1 in America. I love it.
Yeah, we might as well speak Russian, bud.
Okay,
All right,
so back to the kitty litter. Listen, so I didn't know this, but then I keep hearing my beautiful lady Alex over here is telling me that apparently in high schools all across the land, well, maybe not all, but there are kitty litter boxes.
So there's a great comedian that I tour with named Dave Landau, who has Normal World on the Blaze, and if you're not watching, you should. It's incredible. And Dave does a whole bit on this about how he has, I don't want to steal his joke, but look up Dave Landau. He does it way better than I am. But he has a nephew who was identified as a cat. And he just thinks about what his Vietnam vet father, who's not with us anymore, would think if he had come home one day from high school and said, "Daddy, I'm a kitty." and he says, "My dad, he wouldn't have hit me. He wouldn't have raged out like everybody thinks he would. He would be like, oh, that's great. But you know there's no pets allowed in the house, so you're an outside cat," and throws the cat outside.
Go find some mice.
Exactly. And he'd be like, "Dad, let me in. I'm sorry. I can't understand. Meow, 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 meow. If you're ready to act like a fucking adult, I'll let you inside." I just, listen, this is not the first generation to have, quarter life crises. This is not the first generation to struggle through puberty. This is not the first generation to have trouble growing up or do dumb shit when they're young. We are just the first generation to allow these kids to do this dumb shit. So I look at this differently. I think of us as failing them. In some ways, we've lost a little bit, and this is a very unpopular opinion, and I understand with the ladies this is very unpopular, but I am nothing if not unpopular with women. So I think that we have lost a little bit of the value of controlled violence, And I think about my uncle, who, great man, died young, but really, really intense dude, big, strong dude, and he pulled no punches. I wish if anybody could have survived through like the woke cultural revolution, that we needed this guy. And my Uncle Kev, Special K, like he would let you know. He'd be like, "Hey, I'm saying words I can't say on the Google tube here," but he'd be like, "Don't be such a," yeah, exactly. And you'd look at him and be like, "Uncle Kevin, you can't say that. That's mean." And he's like, "Yeah, of course it's mean. That's the point. You don't want me to say mean things. Stop doing dumb shit." And you kind of got the point. You know what I'm saying? Like Uncle Kevin got his point across. Was like, "Yeah, no, I know it's mean. That's why I said it."
But at some point we lost it's just common sense, right? Like we lost that. It's like, yeah, that's, you can do whatever you want, but that's not normal. That's just weird.
But a lot of it's our generation. I mean, it's our generation becoming parents that for some reason are rebelling
Well, yeah,
against
but
the idea that, getting hit is good. Now it's going back to like, oh, there's some types of parenting that are all about hands off. They're all about, you can't say
Gentle
the word.
parenting.
Exactly. You
Can't say the word no. My
It's
buddy does
ridiculous.
that. My buddy does that. And it's actually, I don't know why this bothers me so much. It's not my kids, but it's actually made it hard for us to stay friends.
Yeah.
Like I swear to God, I went over to his house. It was about 3 months back. I was in his city for a show, and his kids, I'm not going to give the ages. He probably knows what I'm talking about him right now. Well, he's not listening. His wife won't let him. Their kids call him by their first names. And that was just so weird for me.
What?
Their kids call him by his first name. Him and his wife, they get called by their first name by the kids.
Wow.
And
if I ever call my dad by his first name,
yeah,
oh
yeah, and there's something to that. There's something to, like, bro, you don't what you
no, it's
you
a sign of respect.
You can call me the
You earn
first
that
name when you
shit.
pay a bill. Pay a bill. Right now you're 8 years old. All right.
Never call your dad by
You're
that.
closer
Never.
to me cleaning the shit out of your ass than you are to being an autonomous human being. don't call me by my first name. Right? Until you can survive in a room alone with me, don't call me by my first name. You know what I'm saying?
Agree.
So that they do that, and then the other thing is like the kids will be like, you know, Janice, I don't want to go to bed. I want to pee plant. And then they'll be like, well, you know, I like it a lot when you go to bed when you're supposed. Like they don't just say put that shit down and go to bed. They have to like play these mind games to like always try to speak in the affirmative. And I'm just sitting here going like, man, society's going to eat these kids up. Yep. These are the type of kids I have to believe. I'm not a scientist. I've been told that multiple times. But I have to believe these are the type of kids that get into an adverse situation where the world is constant feedback loops. This world is constant feedback loops, good and bad. I do something good, I get a reward, I do it good again. I do something bad, I get disincentivized to do it again, right? And they can't handle it. Yeah. They can't handle it because they have no life skills to take on this adverse information. So they go, I need to shit in a box. You know, and that's what happens. I really believe that.
Yeah. I mean, how much does social media honestly add to all of it, though? If you think about it, because everyone is a star. You know, kids that are 70%. Your kids' age are on iPads and phones right off the bat. We never had that. You know, they have access to all. It's insane. My niece is in kindergarten. She's better on an iPad than I am, but she's logging on and essentially checking the news half the time.
So I have an adverse opinion on that. Yeah. And I understand a lot of like really smart people talk about social media. To me, it's a tool. Right, it's like somebody coming along and saying, you know, the chainsaw, the people are not going to know how to handle that, and it's going to kill everybody that uses a chainsaw. And I get it, but tools just exist for us to use them, right? And there are people that use it incorrectly. Like to your point, would you give a 3-year-old a chainsaw? I don't know if that's such good parenting. You know, maybe your 3-year-old shouldn't have Snapchat or an Instagram account. Sure, but this idea that like, don't put your kids in front of screens or, you know, I've learned pretty much everything in my life from YouTube. So, you know, to me, I don't, you know, what even DeSantis, a guy I think does a great job, you know, having people, you know, have to be over 16 years old, I think, to use social media in Florida. I don't think restricting access to tools or information is ever the right move. No, I don't. But Alex, I also don't have skin in the game. I don't have any kids. So what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I kind of respectfully disagree with that. I think that there's a majority of parents that are so freaking busy with their lives that they just like are forced to it, and they are so uneducated to the fact that what is on social media nowadays.
Okay.
And it's happening faster and faster that parents can keep up. And I think that with parents is that I think that the if you can shield them from the things, because my job is like, are you okay with R-rated movies and saying don't watch an R-rated movie until you're 18? So why wouldn't we do the same thing with social media?
I guess, but the issue I take with what you just said is that that's not a social media issue. That's an absentee parent issue. Parents are busy. Parents are this. Like, okay, so then the kid is not going to sit there twiddling his thumbs. Like, well, okay, is it better for the kid to play with a book of matches instead of his iPhone?
But what about that? All right, so what about the R-rated movie? Tell me about the R-rated movie versus the social media.
So is your
because you can't control that.
Your thing is like the sex, the access to the sex and the violence.
Yeah,
and all
why
that
not?
stuff?
Like would you watch your kid? Let your 10-year-old watch? I don't know, like Wild Things or Basic Instinct or I don't know, name one of those like weird. I would watch the shit out of that thing. But
yeah, it's hilarious. Those movies are like PG-13 now.
What's the name of that actress you like?
Would you?
No.
Yeah, you're gonna get way more hot gay action on a children's Disney program today than you are in Wild Things.
Living shit in myself. Yeah. Christian's like, I watched that when I was 4.
There's more gay sex in your average Nickelodeon show than there is in anything from the 80s.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. Holy shit.
Okay, but for real. Okay, but for real. So how would you compare the R-rated movie? Like, are you okay with the R-rated movie and PG-13 and how they rate movies that go out by guess who? Hollywood nowadays versus, hey, it's just Instagram.
I'd like to see a free market solution to that. I'd like to see like back in the day how there was like, how the cable and the TVs would have channel blockers. But that wasn't the government saying you can't watch this. That was a free market solution where a business came up with hey, parents, if you buy the Sony, you can block the channels. You know what I mean? And that would be I'd like to see something similar to that, where there's a content blocker that you can add. Could be $1 billion idea, guys. Go for it. Just throw old G a bone here. Just throw just a 1-2-3%. But yeah, like especially with the way AI is going, like they used to have them. I'm not a tech guy, forgive me. But what would they have them? Like you can add them to your browser. What were they called? Extensions.
Yeah.
Like a browser extension. You could do the same thing with social media, like a third-party social media extension that's a content blocker.
And they exist, and they're great. Because I use them sometimes just because there's so much nasty stuff out there. So sometimes it helps.
You moderate yourself?
No, not like that. I mean like there's.
No, I get it. There's only so much wanking a guy can do in a day. I gotta run a business.
There are certain places I will not go.
I got carpal tunnel and I don't know how to use this hand.
I got the stranger.
No, hold on.
I gotta go over the top.
To caveat from the jerking off, I'm saying that.
Sidebar.
No, I meant like certain places you only go with a VPN.
Yeah.
So you want to use certain extent. You know what I mean? Like stuff like
sure.
that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with content moderation as long as you're moderating the content. It's not being moderated by an external.
I don't want to. I want to make sure I'm clear. I am all about less government. I am saying get the government out of my life. But for the kids, there's so many stupid ass parents out there, and not just that. Like I'm a stupid ass parent sometimes, and I think that I'm a good dad. I think I'm a pretty good dad, and I try really hard. But also, there's some shit that gets in the way that I'm like, man, I can't keep up.
Nobody's
with it.
perfect all the time, bro.
No, but you can't keep up with it, and as you're trying to evolve with the times in your business and life, and things happen, you're like, wait a minute, like I don't want my kid to watch that, but also my kid talks to all of their friends on Snapchat. Mm-hmm. She does. She talks to all her friends on Snapchat. So I'm like, wait a minute, so she talks to all her friends on Snapchat. All of her friends are on there. I don't want to like deprive her of her social life, because if my parents came in and tried to step into my social life when I was her age, I'd be like, fuck. But at the same time,
my dad didn't give a shit. I begged. I was the last person to have a computer. I was the last person to have a video game console. I was the last person to have AIM.
No, like, dude, I'm with you. So I try to. I guess my point is like I try to tell my kids, like I try to bulletproof them, if you will, to say, all right, I tell them what's good and wrong, and if you see wrong happening, you avoid it. You know that it's wrong. You just know, like by automation, that it's wrong. But at the same time, it'd be nice if that shit wasn't just like a bunch of dicks and sex and shit wasn't flowing in my kid's Snapchat all the time randomly by a bunch of weirdos everywhere.
Chris, we're not going to have any real natural breaks in today's episode, so if there's any comments, you go blurt them out at any time.
This is live.
So let me ask you, yeah, you're cool. So then, being that you have kids, let's have the hypothetical conversation. Then.
Please.
Your daughter comes home, and or your son comes home, and they've got whiskers and a tail. How are you handling it?
With my daughter?
Yeah.
Or son.
Which,
either or.
In today's day, could be the same person depending on the given day.
I don't know. That's a loaded question that I don't know if you can answer right away, but I think that I would probably say, what are you doing? Why are you wearing that?
Would you outright say no?
I don't think I'd outright say no right away. I would ask her what she's doing. I'd say, what are you doing? Why are you wearing that? And then I would wait for an explanation. I think it would probably, it's a loaded question. Because I love my kids unconditionally, no matter what. Mm-hmm. But also, I know I know my kids, and they've been raised to the point where my daughter's 13 years old. Because I love my kids unconditionally.
Yep, he gets it.
Yeah.
I think the part of that loaded question that I want to get out to more people is that, to me, screams a trauma response to something cataclysmic happening, and that you need to get to the bottom of that quick. If you come home and there's a 180 change in your son or daughter's personality, don't look at this in today's day and age and say, oh, this is a phase and they're going through. Like, have hard conversations immediately and be like, did something happen? Who did it happen with? What's gone on here? Because one of the things that we are seeing, and that nobody wants to talk about because this is the fourth rail out there, is a lot of things that are being normalized today are trauma responses to inappropriate contact, inappropriate, instances at just, horrifically young ages. And if that is allowed to metastasize, metastasize?
Caveat.
If that's allowed, to fester, that's gonna manifest itself in some remarkably self-destructive.
I think though, but like to my point is that I think that if early on, if you're raising your kids to understand that, and that my kids understand that if you see something that's different from normalcy, it's not that it's bad, but it's like, hey, you know that it's different. It's fucking weird, right? Like, it's weird. Like, and it doesn't mean you go and like chastise them or like treat them like terribly, but it's like, it's definitely not the norm.
No, I got friends of mine that, you know, been comedians. I've known them for 11 years, and, you know, gay guys, and they talk about like Pride Month and all this stuff, and they were like, what the, I did, like, no, I didn't do it. Like, we want to be normal. We want to be accepted. It's like, no, I would just had sex with chicks if I wanted to be normal. Like I wanted to be different, man. Like, what the hell? Like, life was way harder on purpose.
I can't tell you how many like gay guys that I know and are friends with that are just like, yo, dude, like, I don't want anything to do with this stuff. Like, I think it's cool, but like,
yeah, it's been hijacked.
It's a little bit too much, right?
Yeah, it makes me wonder who's really behind it, what the money is. Chris and I were talking about this before. Like,
always,
you know, you got China and you got Iran and you got Russia.
Can you say like Trump, please?
China.
Thank you.
Iran, and Russia. And if you have like a crazy, insane leftist lunatic like, you know, Melinda Gates, let's just say, or Soros, and they're like, we're going to do a movie like Civil War where Texas and California come together and they break off from the United States, and then they all the evil white guys go to take over America from all the good, noble, brown socialists and gays. And it's like, what world is that? In what world do Texas and California ever work together? Ever?
Well, but to be fair, though, weren't they very specific about saying that America in the background was just the background? It was purely an irrelevant setting.
Nonsensical.
That was just my take on it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the movie at all. I thought it was kind of
Fallout, the same thing.
Well, Fallout,
white guy evil, brown, lesbian, communist, good people.
I played a lot of Fallout. I'm a big nerd.
Yeah.
Fallout has some controversial themes. It always has.
Yeah, but it always had libertarian-based controversial. The communists were in no way the good guys in the Fallout games.
Amazon's going to put a twist on anything that Amazon touches.
Well, no, but think about what you just poo-pooed, though.
No, I'm not. No.
And I'm a nerd, and I played the Fallout games a lot.
Yeah.
It was an anti-communist, anti-nationalist, anti-jingoist game series.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Did you watch the series?
Yeah, no, I did.
Remarkably hand-fisted communist propaganda.
Well, can you call it like a specific scene that like really struck you?
The very end, where the two lesbians are holding hands as the thing explodes. Oh, spoiler alert! Sorry. The actual literal communist, the brown lesbian communist, is the good guy in the reveal, and her dad, who she was trying to save the whole time, evil white guy capitalist, the bad guy.
Wait, who's the lesbian? Who's the black lesbian?
Oh, you said you watched it.
I did. I genuinely don't remember.
I thought you were the lesbian. But...
What was her name, Chris?
No, I'm serious. I haven't even seen
Salamander or whatever the hell it was. She's not from the.
Chris thought that
she's not from the games. No, that's the thing. The good communist is not from the games.
Right, but the one part I would agree with you on specifically was what's his name? Not Mr. House. What's his name with the pencil thin mustache?
Yeah.
At the end, they basically were like, oh well, the Vault-Tech's gonna purposely blow up the world for profits. That was the stupidest plot point I've ever heard. That makes no sense.
And they're laughing. Yeah, it's just ham-fisted.
Like that part, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you outright. I'm just saying like certain parts I was like, okay, it's Fallout. And other parts I agree were a little.
So what people have to understand, man, what people have to understand is, and I've been in these rooms, like every scene, the color of the scenes, like every image that you see, every word that you hear, is analyzed over and over and over. Nothing makes it in by accident. So when you keep having these subliminal, now they're not even subliminal, they're overt messages. And then what gets on, right? Like back in the day, you know, you'd have a movie, something dumb like Die Hard. Die Hard, all right? Who's the good guy in Die Hard?
Christmas movie, by the way.
Christmas movie. Who's the good guy? Middle class, hardworking white dude. Now he's not perfect whatsoever. Who's the bad guy? Communists. East German communists, right? Who are using the veil of their communist extremism to just rob a bank. Like they're actual just narcissists.
Sure.
Like what I believe all communists and all socialists are narcissists that are hiding their narcissism through the veil of altruism, right? So
I'd agree with that.
You have this, and that's not an atypical movie for the time, right? A dumb movie like Predator, right? Big muscly dudes. Well, what's the actual background of the movie? The actual background of the movie is the U.S. government tricks this special ops team to go into a communist nation because under false pretenses, we got to save our guys who were there in a peacekeeping mission.
Don't you dare ruin Predator for me right now.
And then
Stop
what?
it.
And then it
Just
turns
stop
out, no, they had to go find, they knew that the guy was in there. They were lying to the special ops guys the whole time. It's a weapons of mass destruction type thing, right? So like, oh, no, we're going in there because, we got to save these guys. They knew they were dead. It was, hey, go retrieve the alien and give us the tech, right? So, there's always a subliminal message. There's always, like, art exists for the messaging. Now it's all communism all the time, nonstop. I mean, you look at the movies that they put out there, and they put their finger on the scale to make sure you see, like, dumb movies. People watch The Platform, and they'll be like, this movie's so incredible. I'm like, this is the most ham-fisted communist propaganda I've ever seen. You literally rise through the classes throughout the movie. Triangle of Sadness. It's just so bad, and every character's a Mary Sue. Anyway, I don't know how we got it.
I'll have to try it out. Well, can I ask you a quick question though?
Go for it.
You should, if you know Fallout, you're gonna know this reference. Sweet Baby Inc.
Yeah.
Do you know about Sweet Baby Inc. at all?
I have no idea what
It's the nerdiest thing ever. Do you want to go into Sweet Baby Inc?
No, please, go ahead.
So, Sweet Baby Inc. allegedly, I'm just gonna say allegedly because I don't know a lot about him.
Caveat.
I don't know a lot about him other than that there are rumors and there are all these stories coming out that they get hired. They're almost like a consultation firm. They get hired by these major video game firms to emphasize representation of certain minorities, whether it's gender, religion, whatever. Which sounds like maybe not a firm I would use. I don't feel like I would need to use that, but it's a firm that people are using, and the products that are coming out keep getting. One, they turn out awful, which is that's maybe another conversation. But
no,
two,
that is the main conversation.
But it is but it does feel me. I'm a pretty open mind. So I'm just full disclosure. I'm Republican, but I'm very much in the middle. So I'm what might be.
You're like a Democrat from 1998,
or
a
Trump
normal
from the 1980s.
person.
Yeah.
But
Or a classical liberal.
Yeah.
Or a normal person.
No, but
seriously,
though, people would call me a rhino now, which I don't think is fair.
It's almost a compliment.
Right. Well, whatever. But either way, the point is that it was very ham-fisted. It was very lazy. The writing was awful. It wasn't introducing a gay character as a genuine good character. Like when we were kids, Xena Warrior Princess.
Sure.
Did that even phase us that they were a lesbian couple? I didn't even realize it really truly until later on.
They were a lesbian couple?
Yeah, she had what's her name? The blonde girl. They were,
no.
They went back. Well, she was bisexual. They went back and forth.
But either way, that did it in such a way that it wasn't, like you said, ham-fisted.
Yeah.
It was part of the story and it was natural.
Bro, this idea that there was no diversity that existed before, it's insanity. Go back and watch anything from the year 2000. Right. You will see all this organic diversity.
Yeah, organic diversity. That's the thing.
Organic diversity, which is fine, which is a good thing if it's organic, right?
Yeah.
So, and you hit on the point, right? So, instead of making a cool new thing, let's take Star Wars, this thing everybody likes, and just do it our way. So we want to intentionally piss everybody off. And it's a great game that we're playing where it's like, okay, you get to antagonize us and then get mad, get to play the victim when we're like, why are you antagonizing us? Oh, we can't have. So you antagonize, you get to be the bully and the victim. It's fucking garbage.
I just want to say that Acolyte was awful.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the worst things I've seen in a while.
The new season of The Boys, they're doubling down. They haven't learned a thing. In fact, that now they're just making bad stuff out of spite. They're like, what are you going to do about it?
They ruined The Boys?
Yeah, The Boys.
Oh, I haven't even seen
watched the last 2
seasons.
seasons.
I've never seen Star Wars in my entire life.
Attaboy. He's been too busy banging chicks. Yeah, this guy gets it. This guy.
One chick.
You're gonna get content moderator. What's the name? No, you're gonna get fact checked.
He's been too busy banging.
Did you say
dudes.
fat checked or fact checked?
Either or. I don't know.
Yeah, man. So speaking of fact check, a lot of people are saying that Joe Biden is not actually in any sort of cognitive decline. These are all deceptively edited by these fascist right-wing Republicans. All these videos are just edited to make Joe Biden look bad. He didn't poop himself on the stage in Normandy on the
Did he poop himself?
Oh boy.
Come on.
Boy.
Come on, tell me.
If it not, it was poop adjacent. That was a poop adjacent stance.
Can we?
He assumed. I can tell you. I don't know. I cannot tell you whether or not he pooped, but I can tell you he assumed the position.
That's wait. So G,
he assumed the poop position.
Wait,
that's almost worse.
Listen. Can we reenact something right now?
Go for it. I mean, half our audience is audio, but yeah, go for it.
All right. So
if we reenacted, Ian, it's up to you to do the play-by-play of what's going on.
All right. So you do the play-by-play. All right. So talk about his bend in his knees. All right. So G, if you were
It's like the shuffle first. The shuffle right, left.
Shuffle right, left.
You know, you guys had kids. You know what a toddler. Oh, boy.
It's a sharp left and right.
Oh, boy.
Pivot.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So
kind of like,
wait,
for the people at home, have you ever seen a sprinkler in motion where, you know, it just oscillates, you know, and it's just like 2 steps left, 2 steps right, 2 steps left. And then finally, no one's helping the poor guy. Bend over.
He literally put his hands on his knees like this.
Gave it a good 35 seconds, and then Dr. Jill, his court-approved handler, grabbed him by the hand and brought him off the stage. And then, literally 24 hours later, there was 2 attack vessels from Russia in Cuban waters. Oh. I think if I'm Russia right now, going like, what am I missing here? Should we just do it? Like, should we do it? Like, he can't be the one at the controls, right? He just can't be. And I think we saw that with Obama. They were out there having one of their all-time Hollywood circle jerks. Everybody rich and famous from Hollywood was out there saying, "Yay, what you're doing's great. Don't listen to the peasants. They don't know shit." And then Joe just blacks out on stage. He literally, it was kind of sad if you've had a grandparent with dementia. He had a, oh my God, where am I? How did I get here moment? And Barack Obama grabbed him by the hand and walked him off the stage. Chris, if you can, I reposted something from Tenet Media. If you go look up Tenet Media. Very interesting, a quote from Obama as he was leaving office after his second term. And it's very salient to hear this quote and then watch as he grabs Joe and leads him off the stage. Now, Ian, did you serve as well? Were you in the service?
Yeah, I was in the Army from about 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm technically still in, but I'm starting on my way out now. I'm a captain.
Well, especially after this podcast. See you later, bud.
Yeah, I trust me. I moderate myself.
All right.
No, but about 15 years or so.
Are you allowed to give an opinion on what you saw?
I won't comment on anyone's mental health because I'm not a doctor and I can't speak for it. Mm-hmm. What I will say, there's 2 facts that are true. The next election has 2 damn near 80-year-olds running.
Yeah.
So my question is why did we let it get to that point? When we have there's so many good candidates out there. There are real people out there, but we keep voting for these 80-year-olds.
Are there so many good candidates out there?
Yes.
Do we?
Do we what?
Keep voting for them?
But either way, though, the next 2 candidates are both near 80. I mean, Trump's 78, 77, something like that. I don't personally think Trump's in the greatest mental health either. He manifests it differently. Not as bad as I would say. Like Biden definitely has demonstrated some issues at times, no question. But me personally, again, I go back to this point. Like, why is this my option?
So then are you an RFK guy? Do you think RFK is viable?
I don't think he's a real candidate necessarily, but I don't know much about RFK. The only thing I've seen about RFK I've disagreed with.
Can I ask you, why do you think he's not a real candidate?
I don't know. I get these. I felt the same way about Vivek. I felt the same way about what's her stupid name, the vice president. What's her name? What's the vice president's name?
Yeah. Kamala.
I didn't think.
She goes back and forth. Depends on how many cocktails she's had.
I didn't think she was a real candidate either. I thought she was there just to funnel votes to their primary candidate. I think that both parties choose their candidate way early on.
It's pretty remarkable that she spent her entire time during the Democratic primary campaigns talking about what a monster, an ineffective legislator and racist monster Joe Biden was, and then became the VP.
But it happens every time.
We did it, Joe.
It's the same.
We did it, Joe.
What's her name that just endorsed Trump? She was doing the exact same thing.
Nikki Haley.
Yeah, she's doing the same thing. I'm really bad with names if you can't tell because I just don't care.
Yeah.
But
what are your thoughts, Alex?
Politics. You know who I love? I am the biggest, and you know this, Ian. I'm the biggest Tulsi Gabbard fan.
Tulsi's great.
I love me some Tulsi Gabbard. You know, I think that the president of the United States is meant to be the person that represents like my voice, your voice, and someone who disagrees with me's voice. Mm-hmm. They're meant to be a good representation of the country. Like, so we own Battle Bars, right? Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be these people that represents the employees that we hire.
Right.
And the customers that buy our product. And I think that like, it's okay if people disagree, but at the end of the day, like we have to represent ourselves with like respect and talk eloquently and whatever. But you're the president of the United States. Tulsi Gabbard, that woman has her shit together, man. I mean, she serves the country. So, find something on her that is bad. Mm-hmm. If there's anyone that would do it, find something.
No, she's so good that she took her own party to task for what a monster Hillary Clinton was, and they kicked her out of the party for it. People don't know. I don't think people remember. She wasn't just like a Democrat. She was the head of the Democratic Party. She ran it. And then she, and again, this is, I'll probably get kicked off of the Google tube for it, but you can look this up. This is not anecdotal. This is not misinformation. This is 100% true. And this is why I laugh at people that think like, oh, the elections would never be rigged. Bernie Sanders was destroying Hillary Clinton in that primary in 2015, was housing him. And Hillary Clinton got together with Dianne Feinstein, Wasserman Schultz, and Donna Brazile, and they rigged the primary. Donna Brazile wrote a book about it. She's on record. Debbie Wasserman Schultz admitted it in front of Congress that she rigged the primary, and then they basically bought off Bernie, okay? And that opened up a huge door. They created a golem that they couldn't control, and that's where all the democratic socialism came in. And they basically made a deal with Justice Democrats, and Justice Democrats have since been destroying them. They run heavy left people in left-heavy districts. So Justice Democrats hasn't done a thing to hurt the Republican Party. They have just moved the Democratic Party so ridiculously far left. They only primary to the left of left-heavy people. So we've lost all Democrat moderates. Why has the left gone so far left? And why, like we talk about, like, I'm a moderate Republican, and now they get called a crazy right-winger because the Democrats have gone so far left, and that happened through this deal with Justice Democrats and the Democratic Socialists, right? AOC takes over from King. King's been in there for 20 years. He's a moderate Republican. He's a moderate Democrat. There's no more Joe Liebermans. You know, there's no more Edward Kennedys. There's no more. These guys are gone, okay? Right. Because if they try, look what just happened with Manchin, Joe Manchin. Finally, they got him. He's an independent. Sinema, gone, independent. They don't tolerate disobedience. They don't tolerate heresy. They kick you out of the church, all right? And now you have somebody like Tulsi Gabbard who's seen it from the inside, right? But what I do disagree with you, and this is where maybe I just disagree with democracy in general and definitely, you know, the idea of a republic.
That's a conversation.
Yeah. Is the person you want running your company is not the person whose barbecue you want to go to. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I want somebody that's going to run the damn company. I want somebody competent. I want somebody just. I want somebody fair and nice. Great. Okay. But I need you to be good at what you do. I need you to be able to stand there. And somebody that's getting a rebrand now is Richard Nixon. Now that these CIA tapes are coming out, this dude was a good president, man. He was a good president. Now, he was unlikable on so many different ways, but I think there's some value in that. I think the guy that wants to be liked by everybody is not the guy you want running this thing.
So I don't think Tulsi cares about being liked. I think that she's genuine in what she does. I think that she genuinely says what she means and what she feels. I think that she doesn't want to be liked by Democrats, and I think that she doesn't want to be liked by certain Republicans either. I think that the idea is that as you lead a business, or especially a country, and I can't pretend like I know what that means, but if you're going to lead that, you have to have the respect of people that the decisions you are making are right. Regardless if you agree with them or not, you're gonna make good decisions. So
plus we can't make good decisions because we don't know anything outside of who's the top dog. Like, we should know the entire cabinet. I want to vote for a team.
But gee, we don't know shit. We don't know shit about the inside of it, because if all we're saying about, like, Trump's gonna drain the swamp, right?
Why? He didn't do it the first 4 years.
But that's what I'm asking. I'm saying, if everyone who's out there, who's gonna drain the swamp? It's like, how's he gonna do it?
Yeah,
that's half this argument. We're all arguing over the same shit.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like, well, come on, man.
You
like,
have to argue about it, because you only have two options, right? To be aware of it and then try to, like, group think, problem solve some sort of solution, or just ignore it completely, right? And I don't know which one is the way to go. For me, I invest a lot, so it's very important for me to stay up on this shit, right? And also, obviously, with comedy, I need to make fun of it, but, you know, but there's other people, and there's people in my life that just, like, they've completely checked out. Yeah. Whatever it is, like, you know, and I've said this multiple times. I just said this on the We Are Change podcast with Luke Rudkowski. You guys should check that out. It's great. I think a lot. Everybody always goes back to the Roman Empire, and I'm one of those nerds also, right? And Justinian in the Eastern Roman Empire. There was no Byzantine Empire. That didn't exist. It's just a word we've created for it. But the Eastern Roman Empire. Justinian is the emperor about 70 years after the quote-unquote accepted fall of Rome. Which, by the way, Odoacer, he thought he was saving the Roman Empire. But that's a whole, we could do a whole hour on that.
I was going to say, man, like we might be friends after this.
Yeah, the barbarian that took over was saving it from a group of entrenched political elites that were, and then reinstituted. Anyway, so the fall of Rome with the barbarian who wanted to save the power and glory of Rome, who had been a Roman soldier for 20 years. Justinian comes back 70 years later, survives the plague, and decides that he is chosen by the gods. How can I be the Roman emperor? How did I survive the plague? How did I survive the riots? If I'm to be the Roman emperor, I have to rule over Rome. This is what God wants. He wants me to, re-amalgamate the Roman Empire. And it's not a nation state. The weirdest thing is, like, we think of it as we think of today. The idea of the nation state is remarkably new, and it may not be what we do long term. It was like almost like more like the Soviet Union. It was city states that had like vassals, and then they just had these like treaties with the Roman Empire. Like, yeah, we'll pay you, and you just protect us, right? But it was no like, hey, we're going to from Jersey to New York. Borders were very weird. The point I'm making is that as Justinian leaves the Eastern Empire and he starts conquering West, he goes to these villages and he goes to these towns and he goes to these little hamlets and he's like, welcome back to the Roman Empire. You've been liberated by the Roman emperor. And these people were like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, we've liberated you from the barbarian scum. And they're like, when were we not? Who the fuck have I been paying taxes to? They had 70 years after the quote unquote fall, they had no idea. They had not even an inkling that they were not Roman or that Rome had fallen. And I think about that a lot. And I say to myself, we're sitting here, and oftentimes, like, it feels like, we're rearranging furniture on the deck of the Titanic here, and it's like, are we going to look back at this in 70 years and be like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, America already fell the second the Patriot Act, the Patriot Act, that was the ink went dry in the Patriot Act, and America was done. Or they'll go back and say, oh yeah, you think that's when it was? How about 1913 with the Federal Reserve and the League of Nations? What do you think about that? And we'll say, holy shit, man, what do I think about that? And we sit here and, yeah, like, these things will happen. But the idea of being an American or the nation state and all this other stuff, like, Rome fell. We still have Italy. We still have pizza. Greece fell. We still have anal.
Can I ask you a question?
More popular than ever.
Would you describe yourself as an anarchist at all? I mean that genuinely. I'm not like trying. I'm not trying to catch
a Fed.
it.
They found me, huh?
No.
You brought a Fed. You brought a Fed. You brought them in.
I know.
They boxed me in. I got nowhere to go.
No. I got a good buddy of mine. He's a libertarian. He's super anarchist. He's capital.
An ANCAP?
ANCAP.
Yeah, I'm not. I think when I was younger, that was my indulgence of utopia. Like, how there's like the communist and socialist indulgence of utopia. If we just all work together, yeah. I think ANCAPs and libertarians have that same utopian indulgence. Like, if everybody just leaves everybody alone.
Right. It's never happened in history ever.
Exactly. I don't believe in the non-aggression principle. Okay. First of all, I think the libertarian interpretation of the non-aggression principle is dog shit. Somebody's rights end at the tip of your nose. No. That dude's rights ended the second he took one step towards me when I told him not to. Right. That's aggression to me. Right. When that guy told my girlfriend that he was gonna her up, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I don't need that guy to hit me. Well, words are words. Yeah, that was a decision he made, not me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He said those words. I didn't tell him to say those words. So he decided those words were worth his orbital bone, not me. Right? So my interpretation of the non-aggression principle is very, very different. Okay. And I think constantly counterpunching is just dumb. I don't need to tell you guys what is more important than first strike capability. Right. Nothing. Right? What's more important than seizing the initiative? Nothing. Yeah. So if you're constantly waiting and counterpunching, what you are is constantly losing. Okay? Agreed. And I also think that too many people use that as an excuse, frankly, to be a bitch. Because nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to be the big bad wolf. Like you were talking about earlier. Nobody wants to be the dad that says, no, you don't get Snapchat. You're the bad guy, right? But the bad guy saves you from you oftentimes, right?
Yeah.
So
did you see one of the videos from the campus protest for the pro-Hamas Palestine stuff where it's stuck in my brain. I have not been able to stop thinking about it, but all the kids in their makeshift armor, they had makeshift shields and weapons, and they're all lined up ready to attack the police, and they run out, and I swear to God,
it takes a forearm shiver.
Everyone stops though, except for 2 guys, and then the second guy kind of fades off once he realizes he's alone. The one guy just gets smashed.
Yeah,
and then there's no one else.
Can you please show that video? Or
It's
we actually
that's a good analogy.
Check out Normal World. We did a great sketch called the Protester Draft, because it turns out a lot of these protesters are paid now. So we did exactly. Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, we actually know who's paying them too, which drives me out of my mind. Like, why is that allowed? And the ANCAPs and the libertarians are like, I thought you call yourself a capitalist, that's free market. I'm like, no, I believe in the free market. You don't get to pay people to ruin other people's days and lives. Like you can't just be like, oh well, I can hire him for murder. That's not how this works. You don't get to do that. No. So yeah, I don't think I let other people give me whatever labels they want. I don't give a shit. I want for example, okay, I'm a Republican. I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-drug decriminalization. And I'm in a position where I can't think of any reason not to have universal health care, as dumb as I think it is, because there's just no way that I can justify our taxes spending $1 million a missile to drop on a people that make $900 a year, but that $1 million can't go to a kid's cancer ward. I can't justify that. That's
completely fair, in my opinion.
Yeah, so
completely.
So Republicans, I agree with a lot, but then that gets to that stuff, and I'm like, no, at some point, I just want people to show their math, right? Like, show your math, okay? We need more budget for why? What did you do with the last money? You're running a $34 trillion deficit, all right? If you guys go into debt, a deep debt, building your brand, and you're like, okay, I just need 8 more years and $6 trillion more dollars, and we will figure it out. And the bank's like, you know what? You're good guys. Or and then you turn it around as like everybody else is the bad guy. Like, sorry, battle bars, you guys are $34 trillion in debt. We're gonna have to make some cut. You want kids to go hungry. What? You attack any sort of these sacred cows, and it's you go, wait, how much money are we spending on the Department of Education? You hate kids and you want people to be stupid.
That goes back to the argument of, like, do you want a businessman running the country, or who do you want running the country? Right. And I don't know. I don't know if there is a right answer to that.
I do, because I'm smart. So I think the right answer is we should split the foreign and domestic policies of this country. We should vote for both. I think America, like everything else, I think we need a mother and a father. I think the father needs to protect us from the big bad wolves around the world, and the mother needs to nurture us here at home. And I think we split the budget accordingly, and I think the mother, and to me it works because Congress and the Senate could work on the check on the two. All right, and you do a prime minister, and you have, or call it a president, a vice president, whatever you want. President focus on foreign affairs, vice president focuses on domestic affairs. It's too much to try to negotiate with the entire world and then also take care of 330 million of your own people as well. I think those are 2 different jobs. And I think those are 2 different personality types. I think, somebody like a general, like somebody like a Mattis, right, would be great in in an outward facing position where, he looks at our enemies and says, you sure you want those warships in Cuba? You're 100% on this? Yeah. You sure? Because we got a lot of people that can write history books that'll say that this crater fucking used to be called Crimea. You know that, right? Like, when that's a thing. But then you don't want that same guy going, all right, homeless, you got 48 hours to get your shit off the streets or I'm wiping all you out, right? Like, there's more tools in the box. Sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you need a little file, right? So maybe we need a little mother. That's my personal thing. And again,
for the record, I absolutely agree with you. That's not what I was saying. I was saying that, like, I don't know. I think that, to your point of options that we have around the table, like, what options do we have? I think.
Do you feel confident with Joe Biden as our president right now?
Is that a serious question?
No, it's a serious question for people out there.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think they do either. Then the question then becomes, are they justified in their hatred and fear of Donald Trump enough to the point to give Biden and his handlers 4 more years?
No, but I also think that like if I'm running a country, or if I'm running a business and I pick a bunch of shitty people around me, the business is going to fail no matter how fucking awesome I am.
And the flip side goes for the same for Trump too. I mean, are you willing to vote for Trump, knowing that he's been in president before, and we're still dealing with certain? You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
One would argue that Trump's first 4, or well, I said first 4 years, like I'm electing him already, but like Trump's 4 years was. I don't know. Did he pick the right did he pick the right cabinet the first 4?
No, he definitely did not.
So that's my point, though. Is that like
he served the wrong masters? I think for sure. But I will say,
so what?
I was not excited to vote for him.
Were we the guinea pig on that? So are we as a country the guinea pig? Although the country ran, I think, better than it did nowadays. Right?
So my motivation for the 2024 vote, not that I think it's going to be legitimate in any way, shape, or form, by the way, is pure spite and revenge. That's my entire justification. These people stole 4 years of my life. What they did to us during the vid, what they did to us with lockdowns, what they did to us lying, manipulating. I want them all to suffer. That's my motivation.
Just remember who the lockdown started under.
Yeah.
We have to keep that in mind.
No doubt about it.
Trump fucked a lot of businesses up because he towed that line for a good period of time.
He fucked a lot of businesses up by not being man enough to get rid of Tony Fauci and Jared Kushner.
Who he hired?
Tony Fauci.
Well, at least one of them, but
Jared Kushner.
That's kind of like it's kind of like my common denominator is it comes down to all these people that were bad for him, which may have been true.
Yeah,
he hired all of them.
So I think what happened.
That goes back to my point is that like you are only as good as the people that you hire or the people that you work with. Right?
No, I'm backing up your part. And again, I'm not like disagreeing with you outright. No. I'm just saying like,
buddy, this is Gerard versus evil. This is not.
No, I know.
Gerard
I'm
becomes
always
a bitch.
I'm always the guy in the middle.
Disagree all you want. Really?
Alex knows.
Of 2 guys? Is that how he made it so long?
No,
that's more of a Navy thing. I thought. I'm a civilian. I can't say.
No, it's definitely a Navy thing.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
No, anyway, that's my rant done on that one.
No, but here's the thing, right? And he's completely biased, and I want to get that out. But when we spoke with Roger Stone, he said that Trump tried to play too nice, right? In that when he came in, he got too many, swamp state guys said, okay, you guys come in, permanent Washington, whatever you want to call him. And he got really bad advice from Jared Kushner, specifically, according to Roger Stone. Take it with, however many grains of salt you need to take it with. Sure. And then part of that turnover that they used against him was him finally weeding out the fact that these guys were not being A, honest with him, and were B, at the worst, sabotaging him, right? Here's the thing. When it comes to this election, I do agree with you. I wish we had better options. I would love Thomas Massey. He's the only guy I think does his job in all of Washington. I would love. And he lives in the woods, and he doesn't want to be wealthy. That's the guy.
That's a perfect president.
That's the guy. That's the dude. All right.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, I lived under 4 years of Trump, and now I've lived under 4 years of Biden. Would much prefer the Trump 4 years. Not even close. It's not even close. It's everybody. You know how everybody agrees. You know how everybody agrees. The white women have shut the up. Right? They were real fucking loud for a long time.
Well, it's hard to argue
with
the
liberal white bitches in the cities used to be like, this guy's a racist, and then all of a sudden they start looking at the price of them fucking gluten-free eggs.
Eggs.
Oh, I don't know about this. Maybe he wasn't so. Everybody grabs things from time to time. Shut the fuck up, you Karens. Yeah, shit has consequences. Yeah. And enough already. We lived through 4 years of this. We have an A sample. We have a B sample. It's not even close. And the gaslighting on it, it's not even close, man.
Sure.
I completely agree with you.
Do you see it as cumulative at all, though? Because COVID was a trigger point that everything since then has just gone downhill. Inflation is still connected to COVID. I mean, business losses are still connected to COVID. You know what I mean? So, like me, because I'm a big, just because I love history, like I look at one guy like a president, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he sucked, she sucked, whoever, let's say it's she in the future. But I also can see that, like,
man, you really do think this country's going down, huh?
But like the current administration has made so many mistakes that are genuine. They're genuine mistakes.
Yeah.
They were preceded by so many mistakes.
Sure.
And that's what I'm saying. They're like, again, I keep going back to this. Maybe I'm just talking to the wall, but like, I am just so frustrated that we're still having this conversation with the same two people.
So the other frustration. So go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I think that Doesn't anyone think that at some point, like, and I'm not saying that I hate saying lesser of two evils, but when you say A versus B, we've already done the A/B test.
Yep.
And the Biden thing is not working, clearly. Like, the guy shit his pants at a World War II thing. Like, come on, man.
Sure.
Like, I guess I'm saying is that, like, when is it, like, when is this show's got to end? It's time for a new era of people other than Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump.
So,
it's got to be at one point. But that's why I think the VP of Donald Trump is so incredibly important.
Yeah, Tulsi or Vivek, and I don't know why it ain't going to be anybody else.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not. It shouldn't really be close.
But I think that the country is meant to have a female president coming up soon. It's meant to. It's just like it evolves whether it is or not. And I think that if you're going to bring on a female president, you groom her for 4 years under Trump.
Phrasing.
See what you did there. But really though, I mean,
yeah, Tulsi would be fantastic. There's no doubt in my mind Tulsi would be fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
and
she served. She cares.
Come on, Trump's what, 78 years old now?
Yeah,
82 years old. She's
But he was in Hollywood for a long time, so he's definitely got at least 2-3 ounces of adrenochrome pumping through there. You know, so
he's got more time.
He's got a little more time being cognitive. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. You made a great point about it's time for change, and I know a lot of guys. I'm sure you guys do, quote unquote, deep state guys, that don't believe in America as a nation state, don't believe in the nation state. And I think part of their frustration when you take a 10,000-foot view is how can we compete against 30, 40-year dictators like a Putin or a Xi when we're changing policy every 3 years? Not 4 years, 3 years. And then we're campaigning 3 years and campaigning, 3 years and campaigning. So these people could take a 100-year plan against us.
Right.
You know, and we have to try to be constantly doing things in 3 years. And I think what happened with the Biden admin is that these guys saw him as the perfect lackey. It's almost like mafia rules. It's not Biden so much, right? It's the fact that they put in an entire team of modern monetary theorists as his economic advisors. It's that he has somebody like Pete Buttigieg, who is a climate extremist, who's written about wanting to get rid of all air travel as the head of our transportation. And we wonder why airplanes are so expensive and don't take off on time. Like, so they've used Biden, the empty husk that he is, and then play this clip, Chris, to
the empty husk,
to be the front man and essentially the fall man for all their extremist shit. They know that they have 8 years to, as they said during COVID, fundamentally change America.
Because he's not going to have to deal with it.
Because he's going to, and he doesn't care. And they'll blame it on him. They'll be like, we knew this was a bad thing. We tried telling him, but this guy was just an ice cream eating shit himself asshole. Like, you know, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to hide behind that. You know, it's the same thing with the war machine. The war machine wanted to keep going in Afghanistan. It didn't want to stop, but it became very socially and politically unacceptable for us to be killing poor brown people. So they decided, hey, let's switch it to two whites fighting each other over in Europe. Nobody can be mad about that. You know, it's disgusting from the outside looking in, but these deep state guys that I know, and one of them, you know, not Tom Zeller, what the hell was his name? We interviewed him on the PBD podcast. He was overt about it. He's like, yeah, I worked in the CIA for 20 years, and you know, the idea of the nation state is flawed. We want to get rid of America. We want the United Nations. We want global federalism, and we want to sit at the head of the table. And I'm sitting here going like, did the motherfucker who worked 20 years in the CIA just say he wants to end America? We're working towards it. And
that doesn't make any sense to me because that's not feasible right now. Like China and Russia are going to join forces with us.
No, he thinks that they're going to do it first. Like you look at BRICS, right? You look at somebody. Yeah. If you're a student of history, right? Unless there is a cataclysm,
right,
the powers only get bigger.
True. Yep.
Rome only gets bigger until it collapses, but then the Huns get a lot bigger.
Yep.
Right. Then the Mongols get a lot bigger. Then the Visigoths. Then the Holy Roman Empire. Right. So now we're in a situation where we have, like, you know, these three major superpowers, really two, right? And now you've got the UN and you got NATO, which is its own government, its own thing, right? Yep. And you have Europe. Europe are cucks for government. These guys love government. My God, they have a local government, they got national governments, then they got a super government in the EU, then they got the UN, then they got NATO, then they got geez, people love bureaucracy, man. So you look at us and we sit here, then they look at us like we're crazy. And we're like, no. I don't want no. Yeah. Like, can you imagine getting a ticket for using too much carbon from Brussels? You know what I'm saying? From the UN, they send you something and you're like, I got to pay this to who? Where? For using what?
It's scary. It really is.
No, it's not scary. It's a fire starter.
No,
I don't, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, come and get it. So,
well, can I speak to your 100, like China
Sure.
with the 100-year plan? I'm not sure if we're going over time, but
we are. It's all good.
But there's that joke that if we don't know what we're doing, our enemies don't either, which is somewhat true. Because China went through how many revolutions and how many periods of time, and I think their last 100-year plan killed like 30 million Chinese people.
Yeah, they had them to burn though.
Yeah, there you go. So but that's a good point. Like there is weakness in that system. There's no doubt because it's very hard for our allies alone. I mean, hell, like France right now, they may be great friends with Biden, but Trump comes in, they may not be friends. Mm-hmm. It's a complete policy change.
Sure.
So like you speak truth to that part, but
and to your point with China, nothing's perfect. China is a plantation. China is like 1,000 billionaires with 7 billion slaves. That's untenable for a very long period of time.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
they face a lot of problems in the next 50 to 100 years that are like nothing like we've ever seen.
Yeah, and you can fit everybody who lives in that giant landmass of Russia. You can fit them all into like Delaware. Yeah. So I mean, we look at the map and we're like, look at the size of Russia, but it's really like 17 people.
Yeah, I think it's 150 million total.
Yeah,
like that.
pussies. So, but I would like to have just any sort of any confidence in our leadership, and I have none. I have lost all faith in all of our systems. I don't believe in any of our medical systems. I don't believe in our education systems. I don't believe in our financial systems, and I definitely don't believe in our government.
I think that comes with like wisdom, right? That comes as you get older, you start to realize, especially as you become an entrepreneur, and you're like, wait a minute, everything that I do revolves around money. Everything revolves around money. Right. Everyone is trying to make more money for everyone, specifically themselves. Right. And if most people are in it for themselves, and if they're trying to help you, they're trying to help themselves eventually. Right. So like, you start to realize that like, wait a minute, like you gotta either play the game, or you gotta be open about it.
Well, you're saying it like it's a small thing, but you're making an incredible point. The reason why we pretty much have what, small pockets of war, but for the first time in the history of our humanity over the last 50 years, let's say, we've had mass peace and prosperity and international trade, is specifically because we kind of have figured out, and I think it's capitalism that does this, how to eliminate resource scarcity. You don't have to send a boat full of Alexes down to, Mexico to extract wealth from them anymore. You just put up a Starbucks and sell battle bars in Starbucks. And you can extract all the value you want out of that place without having to like conquer and subdue.
Are you suggesting that I buy a lot of Starbucks?
Okay.
Do I look like I do have a golden doodle?
Do you?
I do.
What's pretty basic. I don't think they have Black Rifle coffee in Oaxaca yet.
They don't.
So
no.
yeah, I mean we got to
work on
that.
If I went to Mexico, they would get rich though.
That would be kind of hilarious. Like if the first thing that gets put up in the new Ukrainian state of Russia was like a McDonald's. And like a Halliburton dress store, and like
they already rebranded
Macy's.
They rebranded the McDonald's in Russia to like some horrible name.
And they sell
war with a Big Mac and all Kylie Jenner,
and all they sell is like the T-shirts from the teams that lost the invasion.
yeah, exactly, right? Chris, go ahead and play this Obama clip. I know the people have been waiting, and if we have any comments, if the people stuck around long enough, man, let's talk about them and get out of here. Thank you guys for. I know we went a little bit long here, but we have some awesome guests. So.
Knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what? If I could make an arrangement where. I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. Wow. I'd be fine.
For the people listening at home, that's Barack Obama talking to Stephen Colbert 6 years ago, while a split screen shows him gingerly walking Grandpa Biden off the stage because he does not know where he is.
Like that.
So what are your thoughts on that, guys?
I mean, come on. Like,
you're from Chicago. You better be nice to Barry now.
No, so I guess this goes back to what we originally talked about. Maybe it was before we were on air, but at what point are we just talking about common sense here, guys? Like, at what point are we like, yeah, this isn't working. Like, or yeah, this guy doesn't have it together. And forget like Democrat, Republican, forget all the bullshit political nonsense. At what point are you just like, yo, this dude just shit his pants in front of the most respectable people in the history of our country?
Yeah. So in many ways, I agree with you because like, you know, the old adage is the cover up is worse than the crime. It's like, look, man, the guy's old. We made a mistake, voted the wrong guy. We tried something, didn't work. That's fine.
What we voted the wrong
lying,
guy.
It's the lying to, yeah, we voted 81 million vote, quote, quote. But it's the lying. It's this guy's the most cognitive sharp guy I've ever been around, bro.
Come on.
Bro.
Come on. Like you hear that. Does anyone actually hear that and listen and go, come on. Wait a minute. You're right. He really has it together in the war room.
Yeah, dude.
At the end of the day, he's talking like, come on. I know that I'm a man of respect and I'm a man of integrity, I feel like. And if I walked up in front of like my buck, I've never been to Normandy. If I went to Normandy and I saw those people standing there, I'll tell you what, man, I would have my fucking shit together so fast. Not out together, but like I would have it together and I would say, man, I'm going to give them the utmost respect known to man. And that didn't happen.
These guys only saved the world. It's not a big deal.
But at what point are you like, come on, man, like this is like, all right, maybe Joe Biden's not the problem. It's what Joe Biden represents of the people around. It's the people that put Joe Biden in power.
That's a good point. And then the people that will literally lie, cheat, steal to maintain that power.
Yes.
And it is the lies. It's the lies. It's the lies. It's the gaslighting. All of that is really it's beyond infuriating. It's so insulting. What are your thoughts, Ian?
I think I've said them mostly. Again, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm just gonna say like partisan politics is ruining the country more than anything else.
Sure,
that's all.
But forget politics. Forget politics.
We're talking about the president, to be fair.
But why does that? Why does that have to be politics? Why does it have to be Democrat or Republican?
Unfortunately, they keep voting that way.
Yeah, but why? But I don't like when people talk to me. I don't want people to be like, oh, Alex Witt, he's a Democrat or Republican. I don't want that.
I agree.
I don't want that. I'm a grown ass man, and I have kids, and like they're the most important thing to me, and I care about right and wrong. At what point are you like, yo, dude, this is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is wrong.
Yeah.
This is wrong. This isn't wrong because it's Democrat or Republican because they tell me that. Because all these people on these conservative radio stations tell me it's wrong. No. It's wrong because it's fucking wrong, dude.
Right.
It's wrong because guys like me marched against Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld in college and said no more blood for oil. And now Bush and Cheney are all Team Biden. And everybody still thinks in terms of right versus left, Republican versus Democrat, conservative versus liberal. It's like those are the same guys. Those are the same. It's like when it's no different than it's like I'll never root for David Ortiz unless he's a Yankee. Then he's a good guy. You know, it's like crazy. But unfortunately, this has real life impact and implications. This has implications on our border. This has implications on our future. This has implications on our economy. Yeah. And it's like you said before, and it was a very good point, Alex. Like once there's a little bit of resource insecurity, it's just gonna get real squirrely real quick.
Oh yeah,
it's starting. I'm telling you, it's starting.
Yeah, you know what though? You know what? And tell that incompetence, Ian. You should speak to that. Tell the incompetence to the people, to some of the people that during the Afghanistan pullout, right? And that's a whole other conversation. Oh, yeah. That's a whole other conversation.
Right.
But tell that to those those guys.
Well, none of those. Well, it's interesting because somebody was just on Rogan talking about this, and they were talking about, what does it say about a world where not a single person has been held, like Steve Bannon's been arrested, and I know this is going to sound like a right-wing talking point, but this is just the truth. Trump has 34 felonies. Not a single person that bought children on Epstein Island does. They haven't been tried. Okay, Trump has 34 felonies. You've got Rudy Giuliani. You've got, I think it's 184 Republican lawyers have either been disbarred or actively facing charges right now for what they're calling election denying. But these people said that they've tried to bring actual real cases up against, especially in Maricopa County, where it looks like a cartel, the Sinaloa cartel, influenced our election. It's an act of war. So you have all of these things happening, right? And you have Alex Jones, $1.5 billion for being wrong and being an asshole, but $1.5 billion. So I mean,
it was a hell of a defamation.
Hell of a defamation.
That was pretty. It was pretty high. I mean,
$1.5 billion.
Yeah, no, I know.
Meanwhile, Fauci, Rachel Maddow, Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, anybody who lied to everybody constantly for years, nothing, right? And not a single person has been fired for the Afghanistan pullout. No, in fact, there was one guy, I think, who was reprimanded, and he was reprimanded for saying, what we did is up.
Yeah, they did try. There was a recent, I forget who put it out, but there was a recent article that suggested that they were going to try to hold the company to battalion or brigade level responsible. And I was like, I've been a company commander. I've had 300 people serve under me, and that made me very angry because I've been in situations where someone almost died, and it was because, in this one instance I'm thinking of, something I asked for many times I was not given, even though I made sure I need this, someone's going to get hurt. They didn't get hurt, thank God, but they almost did. And but what would have happened if they had, I would have been the one who was immediately fired.
Wow.
So, like that, I 100% agree. Like that the whole thing was ridiculous. From the signing of the Doha Agreement, many people who have been to Afghanistan could have told you there ain't no way the ANA is ready. Trump's administration, not his fault, but they were not ready. They were not ready. So that result was inevitable to an extent.
Eric Prince has talked about this extensively on Tucker Carlson. I thought it was very, very interesting. And also the craziness when he talked about how everything in our Defense Department from our contractors is at like 3,000% upcharge.
That's probably 100% accurate.
That's insanity.
To be fair, Blackwater charged that shit too. So.
Look, I don't know enough.
I'm just saying. I mean, he's got a reason for saying it, but he's not wrong.
He's definitely biased. To
end that point. All right. To end that point.
Yeah.
I want anyone who voted or is voting for Joe Biden, I want them to watch Tyler Vargas Andrews' speech.
Who's that now?
Tyler Vargas Andrews.
Okay.
His speech. And maybe Christian can yank like a piece of that up or something like that. Tyler Vargas Andrews' speech when he spoke to Congress about the Afghanistan pullout. I want you to watch
to the IRS. To who?
To Congress.
Oh, to Congress. Okay. Tyler
Vargas Andrews
speaking to Congress about the Afghanistan withdrawal.
And he was, this.
Yeah.
Right. It well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to butcher it and speak the story. I'll let the speech do the talking, but. You watch this thing, and I want someone to tell me that there was no accountability to that, and why. Why the fuck is there no accountability to this? Not just this man, but what was it 18? Was it? I believe it was 18
that were killed.
That were killed.
I believe 16, 17, something like that. Yeah.
And there was I've heard Tim Kennedy talk about this a lot. There was a lot of actual U.S. citizens left behind as well. And apparently the one of the major fuck-ups was there was a list of citizens and interpreters given, and that then became like a hit list. There was like, hey, you got to give us these guys. And they were like, yeah, no, I think we're going to.
Tyler and his team legitimately pointed out to the guy. They said, here's the bad guy that you should look at, to put it in layman's terms, right? Here's the bad guy. They said, there's the bad guy in the crowd of people. Do something about it. Can we engage? They said, nothing. They got nothing out. Don't engage. And all of a sudden, after warning saying, yo, this is the guy. This is the guy. This is the guy. Hey, by the way, this is still the guy. And what happens?
Yeah.
Blows up everyone. And this guy, and now Tyler Vargas is blown up. And
well, let's go ahead and play the clip.
It is 10 minutes, so if you have a certain spot.
We'll just play. Let's play the first minute, just so people can understand.
I would like go in the middle of it, but like I mean, I don't know. You'll see, and people can click the link or whatever. But it's pretty intense, man.
Sagar, if you're watching this, make sure this link gets in the description, bud.
Thank you, Mr. Hong. I now recognize Sergeant Vargas Andrews for his opening statement.
Good morning, Chairman, Ranking Member Meeks, and members of Congress. Thank you for inviting me to speak to you all about my Marine Corps Scout Sniper Team's experience during the evacuation in Kabul, Afghanistan. This is my perspective. This is my account and not the DOD's. I'm Sergeant Tyler Justin Vargas Andrews. I'm 25 years old and from Northern California, a professionally instructed gunman and radio operator for my team. My sniper team was Reaper 2, part of Victor 2-1 Weapons Company, attached to Echo Company, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines from Camp Pendleton, California. In June of 2021, after having just left Kuwait, we were deployed to Saudi Arabia as a show of force. We practiced a few small-scale non-combatant evacuation operations in the event we were needed in Afghanistan. August came, and 2 weeks later, we left for Kabul. Reaper 2 and Echo Company had a close relationship with the colonel of the Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force. He kept us informed of the situation on the ground in Afghanistan, and we were ready to go, so we thought. An infantry platoon of roughly 40 Marines and my assistant team leader left for Kabul on August 15th. They eventually faced the Afghan civilian crowd that overran the Hamid Karzai International Airport. The rest of us arrived on August 16th. All the Marines linked up and staged inside a gym in HKIA, not far from the airfield. We connected with our command and received our first mission later that night. From August 17th to the 18th, we surveilled and reported on Taliban activity from the top platform of satellite tower near the civilian airport terminals in HKIA. We reconnected with another sniper team and moved back towards our staging area that night. Our team traveled to Abbey Gate Forward in the afternoon of the 19th and set up a position in the tower as Marines in riot gear were sent through the crowd to cordon off.
Chris, go ahead and forward another 2 minutes here. Let's get to his final
statements. To
statements.
begin some form of processing. Hundreds of people came and not prepared to be in HKIA. In fact, State would not want to deal with the Afghans unable to be processed, weakening the security of the perimeter. State would take us away from our mission to walk Afghans out to meet the fate of the Taliban, condemning them to death. The Taliban grew in numbers and strengthened their position around HKIA with gun trucks while having occasional visits by Taliban leadership. On August 22nd, an improvised explosive device, IED, probe took place down in the canal running along the perimeter of HKIA. This was ISIS, or the Taliban, performing an IED test run. We reported this to our chain of command. Days later, we received word to be on the lookout for 2 vehicle-borne IEDs, described as a gold or white Corolla and a green Mazda convertible. Around 2 a.m. on August 26th, intel guys confirmed the suicide bomber in the vicinity of and nearing Abbey Gate, described as clean-shaven, brown-dressed, black vest, and traveling with an older companion. I asked the intel guys why he wasn't apprehended sooner since we had a full description. I was told the asset could not be compromised. Throughout the entirety of the day on August 26, 2021, we disseminated the suicide bomber information to ground forces at Abbey Gate. He was spotted somewhere from noon to 1 p.m. by myself, then Sergeant Charles Schilling, and another. The anomaly in the crowd, who was clean-shaven and fit the description exactly, traveling with an older gentleman. The individual was consistently and nervously looking up at our position through the crowd. The older of the two wore a black silky hijab that was covering his face most of the time. They both had obvious mannerisms that go along with who we believed him to be. They handed out small cards to the crowd periodically, and the older man sat calmly and seemingly coached the bomber. Over the communication network, we passed that there was a potential threat and an IED attack imminent. This was as serious as it could get. I requested engagement authority while my team leader was ready on the M110 semi-automatic sniper system. The response, leadership did not have the engagement authority for us. Do not engage. I requested for the battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Brad Whited, to come to the tower to see what we did. While we waited for him, psychological operations
which means he's basically
came to
begging,
our tower
right?
immediately
Like, I'm
and confirmed
you.
the suspect met the suicide bomber description. He eventually arrived and we showed him our evidence, the photos we had of the 2 men. We reassured him of the ease of fire on the suicide bomber. Pointedly, we asked him for engagement authority and permission. We asked him if we could shoot.
Pointedly.
Our battalion commander said, and I quote, "I don't know," end quote. Myself and my team leader asked very harshly, "Well, who does? Because this is your responsibility, sir." He again replied he did not know, but would find out. We received no update and never got our answer. Eventually, the individual disappeared. To this day, we believe he was a suicide bomber. We made everyone on the ground aware. Operations had briefly halted, but then started again. Plain and simple, we were ignored. Our expertise was disregarded. No one was held accountable for our safety. About 1730, Staff Sergeant Darren Hoover, friend and mentor, came to get me from the tower to go help find an Afghan interpreter in the crowd.
Don't cut to the politician. That guy.
Yeah.
I mean, B, cut to the politician.
And his brother
I want to see this motherfucker.
sworn with American passports. They told us of 5 family members still in the canal. I stayed there waiting for the family members standing against a 2-foot canal wall. 10 minutes passed. Then a flash and a massive wave of pressure. I'm thrown 12 feet onto the ground, but instantly knew what had happened. I opened my eyes to Marines dead or unconscious lying around me.
crowd of hundreds immediately vanished in front of me, and my body was catastrophically wounded with 100 to 150 ball bearings now in it. Almost immediately, we started taking fire from the neighborhood, and I saw how injured I was with my right arm, completely shredded and unusable.
Oh, God.
I saw my lower abdomen soaked in blood. I crawled backwards roughly 7 feet because I thought I was still in harm's way. My body was overwhelmed from the trauma of the blast. My abdomen had been ripped open. Every inch of my exposed body, except for my face, took ball bearings and shrapnel. I tried to get up, but could not. Laying there for a few minutes, I started to lose consciousness when I heard Chaz, my team leader, screaming my name as he ran to me. His voice calling to me kept me awake.
He doesn't have a right arm, does he?
When he got to me, he dragged me to safety and immediately started triaging me, tying tourniquets on my limbs and doing anything he could to stop the bleeding and start plugging wounds with the help of the other Marines. I was awake through most of it, screaming, moaning, and cursing. I ask you to please ask me about getting shot at the tower in Abbey Gate and how no one wanted my report post-blast. Even NCIS and the FBI failed to interview me. Asked me to elaborate on my ordeal post-blast, and asked me about this one little girl and her family that I reunited. Our military members and veterans deserve our best because that is what we give to America. The withdrawal was a catastrophe in my opinion, and there was an inexcusable lack of accountability and negligence. The 11 Marines, 1 sailor, and 1 soldier that were murdered that day have not been answered for. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
All right, Chris.
Play that video at every rally.
Yeah, no kidding.
Play the video at every rally.
It's very
and then explain to me why I've not heard the leader, unless I missed it, the leader of our free country speak to that moment. I'm a God-fearing man, and you watch that, and if you don't feel something for that, and I'm not some war hero, like I'm just a petty Navy dude, man. Like this guy's done more shit than I have in my entire life, and I'm saying, you watch that, and I'm a tax-paying citizen. You're a tax-paying citizen. You should give a fuck about that, because you watch that and nothing happened about that. Nothing.
maybe worse.
And we're gonna
that CO probably got promoted.
And we're gonna vote that in for 4 more years, and we're gonna vote the people that allowed that to happen and just push them to the road for 4 more years. I don't know about that.
But see, remember, I'm gonna be that guy. GWAT there was a rot from the start of GWAT. All three administrations.
What is GWAT?
Global War on Terror.
Okay.
Sorry, but from the start, you could argue the Iraq War, 2003.
Yeah, but
I won't even go into that one.
I mean, yeah.
But
what happened with that?
But for Afghanistan, 2001, we invaded. We got Bin Laden in 2011, I think. Right? We should have dipped right there. The military is not a nation building. It's not our task. But we were tasked to nation build. Mm-hmm. We should have gotten Bin Laden and just dipped. And unfortunately,
Chris, look up how much we're paying the Taliban now. I think it's $100 million a month. We left them our weapons. I think from the day before our withdrawal to the day after, they went from the 139th biggest military in the world to the 27th, just in the arms that we left behind.
Is that right?
I believe it is. My numbers could be off. Chris can look that up, but I'm very close. And I think right now the way that we're pacifying the region is we're paying a ransom, $100 million a month to them. And I sit here and I just say, and you look at all the weapons and the missiles that were given to people across the country, across the world, and then those weapons get used against our guys. And now we all know we've got boots on the ground in Ukraine already. They're acting like we don't, but we all know we do. We all know there's spec ops that are happening. We all know. Come on, with that pipeline. You think it was Ukrainians that did that pipeline? Come on. Why? For what reason? And how come the people that do this are never going to be held accountable? And now we're looking at a situation, they're talking about the draft a lot. Now, I've said this before and I say it again. I go back and forth on this because one of my biggest regrets in my life is that I did not serve. And I look at guys that did serve with such utmost honor and respect. But I look at something like that and I say, I will never give my arm and my leg for Halliburton. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving my life for Vanguard or State Street or BlackRock. And I'll give my life for my country. I'll give my life for my family. But that's not what I'm not over there like Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman goes over there. He has such passion for this country and its people that he gives up an NFL career to go over to Afghanistan, and then he's guarding poppy fields for Pfizer. He's like, what the am I doing here? What am I doing here? You know, and I look at the soldiers and I can't thank you guys enough for willing to be the fucking guys, willing to stand on that wall for people like me, for me to talk shit. But then I look at our government and I say, man, they don't fucking deserve guys like you, and they don't deserve what you're willing to fucking sacrifice. It's just not all right. And it can't be allowed to continue. It just can't be. It's corrupt to its very core.
Can I tell you what motivates me still? Like, regardless of our government, which admittedly makes so many mistakes, does the worst things that we can possibly imagine. There are still legitimate enemies that will kill us in a heartbeat. They want us gone, and like it or not, American hegemony is good.
Yeah,
for
Americans. Yeah,
for Americans mostly, but like unipolarity was good for the world. You mentioned the 50 years of peace. That wasn't a fluke. Mm-hmm. It was a very odd period of history where the U.S. stood head and shoulders above everyone else. But now we're moving back to this world where multipolarity is coming back. Not in the way that like Putin thinks it is. It's not going to be that simple. It's not going to be Russia and the U.S. and China. No, it's mostly going to be the U.S. and the West versus China, because Russia's essentially a vassal to China now at this point. It's crazy, but like that's what motivates me. Like regardless of all these government, there's still people like if China invades Taiwan, is that BlackRock? Like who? You know what I mean? Like are we fighting? You know what I mean? That's what I'm asking though. Like,
look, we should. But this is why I feel so like my vengeance before. Yeah. The same reason why you said that there's, and we do have to wrap this up soon. Although this is a whole nother hour I'd love to have with you guys. Come back tomorrow. We'll do it again.
Yeah, right.
The vengeance that I feel. There's no accountability. Nothing changes. Okay. Like I want accountability for what happened during. Otherwise, nothing will stop it from happening again. I want accountability for what happened in Afghanistan, or else what stops it from happening again? And the war on terror. Why has not a single person asked how these Afghans that make $500 a month got access to $80,000 missile surface-to-air missiles, that got access to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ordnance? Like, why does nobody ask any questions about how terrorism was the biggest threat to the world for 15 years and then it happened and not a single fucking suicide bomber decided to blow up a fucking Costco in America?
Your answer was $2.9 billion, by the way.
$2.9 billion for what?
United Nations has delivered more than $2.9 billion in cash to Afghanistan since the Taliban seized control.
$2.9 billion in ransom. But be nice, be good now. So our tax dollars sent that guy over to get blown the fuck up.
Well, and what is that per, like, I was looking at this per capita, like per.
I mean, I know the intent was to supposedly like support women and children that were there. I keep fucking with your ass. Sorry.
What was that? What was that? Can we get funny about this? What was that video? Do you remember they walked in? There was like all that fitness stuff, and they were like
yeah,
crazy. Do you remember this?
Vaguely. I remember them doing like their own routine.
I'm in no position to make fun of the way they work out.
That's not true.
I don't know. You ever seen an Iraqi jumping jack? It's pretty great.
Is it really? No, man. So this stuff gets me fired up too, man. And I just sit here and I'm like, man, it's pretty convenient. Terrorism's back. It's pretty convenient.
Well,
pretty convenient all of a sudden.
Don't get Ian started.
We'll talk later.
Don't get him going.
So, well, look, when you guys, I'm here. So if you guys want to come back on, I'm sure our audience will love you. Chris, if there was any comments, let's just shout them out real quick before we get out of here. They probably stopped 45 minutes ago, but it's all good. All right, cool. Don't worry about them then. We can't say any of them. Guys, stop using the words that we can't speak on. If you want us to tell your comments online, use the words we can say online, please, you animals. Alex, tell them where people can find you, man.
Battlebars.com, just www.battlebars.com, and the most delicious protein bar on the planet. We have a great partnership with Folds of Honor starting. Folds of Honor is the highest rated charity on the planet. So if you want to see some veterans who've lost their lives in Afghanistan, first responders who've lost their lives, and you want to see their families get taken care of, we'll do just that. So we have a big thing coming out with Folds of Honor. Cake batter bar. I don't want to officially announce it, but are we kind of officially announcing it?
That seems like an official announcement.
Seems like it.
They are delicious, guys. Fans of Slick and Thick. You guys know about Battle Bars. You've known about Battle Bars for a long time. We love Battle Bars over there. And these are, if you like Rice Krispie treats, you're going to love Battle Bars. It's a healthier Rice Krispie treat. It's great for after a workout. Get your glycemic index up, get your sugars right, and get yourself some protein. This way you'll end up big and strong like me, not like that faggot vegan over there in the producer booth. So, what... Oh, I said the bad word now. Well, there goes TikTok. I'm sure the live stream ended hours ago.
Wait, say it again, Jimmy. I got you.
Fagut. You're way late. You're way late. Ian, where can they find you, man?
Same, honestly. BattleBars.com. I'm pretty much right there aligned with it. So, yeah, everything Alex said times 2, I suppose.
All right, guys. Check out BattleBars.com. This has been Gerard versus Evil. Let us know in the comments if you want to do a part 2. I don't give a shit what you're saying. We're going to do a part 2 with these guys are still here. We'll get another hour with them before they leave. Peace. Love you.